Hello. Today we're going to be making black magic cake with creamy vanilla icing. Okay, what I've got in here, we're going to start with our icing first because we're going to have to let our base cool to room temperature before we can do anything else. Okay, I've got 1 cup of sugar in here. I've got 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, and we're going to kind of whisk all this together. Make sure it gets well combined. Okay. Now I've got 1 1/3 cup of evaporated milk, and we're going to slowly add the milk in here. Okay, we've got the last bit of milk added, and we want to keep whisking because we want it to be well blended and we want it to be a creamy consistency. We don't want any lumps. We want it smooth. Okay, I've got my stove set on medium-high heat, and we're going to stirring continuously. We're going to keep this going on here until it starts to boil. And when it starts to boil, then I'm going to lower the heat down. Okay, after it started to boil, I cut the heat down and it got really thick, and this is how we want it, and I cooked it for 2 minutes more on very low heat. Now we're going to place it into our bowl to cool, because it has to be room temperature so we can make our frosting or it won't work. Okay, now we're going to start to go ahead and make our cake. Okay, what I've got here is 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. And here I've got 1 teaspoon of salt. I've got 2 teaspoons of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to throw that in there. And I've got 3/4 cup of cocoa. Go ahead and dump that in there also. And what I've got here is 1 cup of crushed Oreo type cookie with the chocolate in the middle, crumbs. I've got 1 cup, and I've also saved a little bit for garnish. I'm just going to go ahead and drop that on in here. This is very easy cake. You don't have to cream together anything. I've got 1 package of instant chocolate pudding, and it's a small package, 3.5 ounce package. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to blend all this together with our whisk. I don't even need a mixer, so I like simple. We're going to make sure this is all well combined before we add our sugar. We're going to have 2 cups of sugar. Go back to whisking it together. Okay, we're going to have a cup of buttermilk, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. I've got 1 8 ounce of whipped cream cheese. I'm sorry. Go ahead and add that to that. I'm going to start to blend that together. Okay, and let's go ahead and add 3 eggs. And we've got our egg room temperature. And just go ahead and add them all at once. We add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. All this blended together. Then I'm going to add 1 cup of hot coffee. Strong hot coffee. And we have to get that out of the microwave in just a moment. Make sure we've got it all stirred together. This seems a little thick right now, but when we add the coffee, it's going to thin it down. Okay, we're going to add our coffee. Get it all blended together. And we're going to cook this in a 350 preheated oven. I've already floured and greased my pans to get them ready to go. And it's going to bake about 30 minutes. Or until the toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Because different ovens cook differently. So it's not going to be, it's not exact science. Okay, level your cakes and get them as even as possible. Now we're ready to go ahead and pop them in the oven. Okay, our cake's done. And we let it cool in the pan for 10 minutes before I flipped it over into the cooling rack. Now we've got to let it completely cool before we ice our cake. Okay, now that our base is nice and cool, we're going to start making our frosting. I got 2 sticks of softened butter, and what we're going to do is we're going to whip this until it's light and fluffy. And it's probably going to take about 7 or 8 minutes to do that. Okay, we've got our butter all creamed up. And I'm going to take by spoonfuls, and we're going to drop some of this base in here, and we're going to beat it up. Now it's going to be very thick like dough. Okay, now that we've got it all blended together and beat, I'm going to go ahead and beat 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Okay, our cake's been iced and put a little bit of cookie crumbs on top. It looks really nice. And I'm not going to cut this cake because I'm taking it to my mother's tomorrow for Mother's Day. So I want it to be all in one piece. And this is a really excellent cake. The icing is not too sweet. It's not one of them icky sweet icings. So it's really delicious. So I hope you try this recipe. Thank you and come again.